How's it going? I'm Alex. I sing and play guitar on the Backfires. We just put out our debut album, This Is Not an Exit, and we're here with you right now in Chicago at Subterranean. Gonna run you through some of the gear that makes the awesome sounds you hear when you see us live. So first, I'll just start with guitars because, you know, I'm a guitar player. I got this guitar. So both of my guitars that I play generally live are sort of like just secondhand guitars that I've gotten. I'm like a big fan of Catfish and the Bottlemen, and Van McCann, the singer of that band, plays like a telly with humbuckers. And tellies, I mean, Fenders usually aren't humbucker guitars, but I saw a black one for like sort of an HH configuration, and I sort of got it off Reverb, and I swapped out the pickup or the pickguard because I was kind of like, I didn't really like the black or the white look. I was like, I kind of like having a little pop of color. And then I went to I have Guitar Tech in the city at 30th Street and back in New York, and Matt sort of put in some better sounding humbucker pickups than what comes with the standard issue Mexican Fenders. Yeah, it's like I didn't really know what pickups to put in there. I just sort of talked to Matt and I was like, I don't know the finite details. I was just like, need it to sound good. And he did the trick, put something in there, and they've got like a pretty good bright sound to them. I don't really like it when guitars sound too muddy. Yeah, so I ride pretty much just on the bridge. It's just got a pretty good bright sound. You know, I never really play on the neck at all or in the middle. This actually has a really cool configuration though. It's like a push-pull, so if I pull it out, it sort of splits this, makes this a single coil. I don't really know how that works, but it sounds cool. I don't play with that live, but sometimes I will write and stuff with that. And then I play 10 gauge. I've been playing NYXLs for ages. Like I used to play, don't cancel me, but I used to play Ernie Balls, and they broke, I swear to God, every 2 days that I was playing them. And I was like, never again. And then I heard there's something about the climate that affects the strings that you use. And D'Addario is based on the East Coast, and so, you know, sort of being based out in New York and all that stuff, it's like you want to be in that climate versus, I guess, the Ernie Balls are like in dry California, so not used to those climates usually. But yeah, 10 gauge NYXLs. I'll show you my other guitar. So I got this one. It's like a Gretsch hollow body. I have no idea what it is beyond that. I genuinely don't. I just was playing it at this secondhand shop in Maryland, the start of a tour we did like just over a year ago. And there's this shop called, I think it's called Atomic Guitars or Atomic Music. And it's just like this big warehouse of like thousands of guitars and amps. And so I got this there, I was playing it, and it was pretty cool. I swapped out the pickups. It was sort of a similar deal. Like there was some shitty pickups in there before, and then I took it back. We had like, it was also like I picked it up in such a dire state. I got it for a couple $100s, and it like had the worst intonation in the world. I tried to play it for a couple songs on that tour, and it was just like anytime I ripped it out, it just like sounded terrible. So I took it. We were playing a show back in New York. We had a couple days off, and so I took it back to 30th Street, and I'm just plugging 30th Street hard right now. And I was like, Matt, do your thing. He calls me the day of the show, and he's like, hey, like, I've got these gold foil pickups that, you know, I think would sound cool, and it matches the look of it. And I was like, just throw them in there. I sort of also ride this on the bridge. Sometimes it's in the middle, but really it's on the bridge. I don't really have like I should probably be more sort of set on like for specific sets and songs, but I honestly just play these pretty interchangeably, just kind of depending on like what I'm feeling on a given night. They do sound a bit different, but I just kind of like the idea of going back and forth sometimes, and sometimes it'll be like halfway through a set and be like, I'm gonna go play the other one. Everything's just all the way up, and so I actually don't really know. I think this is the main volume knob, and I don't really know how to make it work otherwise. I just have it up, and like I just hope it sounds good. I just play in standard tuning. There's only one song in the set that's like I just tuned down half a step, and that's for our song Blindsided. But that's not on this record. Otherwise, I just sort of keep it standard tuning. I use a capo. sometimes, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, so this pedalboard is something I've been working on for basically I feel like the entire time that I've been playing guitar. I feel like I started getting into pedals when I was like 16, 17. And I was just sort of like, because I had like a guitar through an amp and I was like, oh, that sounds good. And then I was like, you know, you're playing through pedals and you see so many of your favorite artists playing through pedals. But it sort of changed. The one that's been on this board the longest is this way huge delay. It's just a pretty straightforward analog delay pedal. I actually know about pedals, which is the funny thing. I don't know a single thing about my guitars, but I know how the pedals work. I feel like this is where a lot of my tone comes from, to be honest. And then some of these are pretty new. Like I've had this on the board a very long time. I've had the Strymon on the board since I was like 18, and I actually had to get a new one at one point. And then the rest of these are kind of newer. Like I had the tuner for a bit because you need a tuner, and then I got a compressor because I was just sort of like, I think it's just good to sort of like moderate what's coming in, especially as like with rhythm. It's like you don't really want to have too much discrepancies in volume. And then this is a brand new addition. I actually got this a few days ago. The micro amp, the MXR, and because I was watching a gear rundown of Carlos O'Connell from Fontaine CC, and he was talking about this, and he was saying that like they all use it, and the Arctic Monkeys all use it, and that just has like a really good like saturation boost to your tone, to the amp, and it like helps it break up pretty nicely. And I was like, that's good enough for me. Fucking two of the best bands in the world right now use this pedal. It's like it doesn't break the bank. I was like, all right, check it out. And then similarly, he was talking about his gear rundown, and he runs, sometimes for some of their songs, he runs like a spring reverb before the distortion chain. And I just like, in the overdrive chain, and I just found it so interesting because it feels like it goes against all the rules of pedals that I've ever known. And so I added this spring, I had this reverb for a bit. I got this a few years ago in Nashville. And I added this to the beginning of the chain recently just because I was like trying to experiment with some of the lead tones at times. I only have a few lead tone moments in the set, but I was just like, oh, how do you like make it really pop? And then I've got this Angry Troll, which is kind of a funny one. It's kind of like, it just sort of like, I use it as like a bass tone sound a bit. I don't really have it off ever. I kind of like the name of it. I think it's kind of funny, and it's got like this volume knob and then an anger knob with like a fist, which I just always thought was hilarious. The Rat is like a big one. Matt recommended it to me, and it sort of has like a pretty cool distortion tone. And then if I'm ever doing any solo moments or any sort of lead tone moments, I just throw the Red Llama on. I'm kind of a slut for way huge, I guess. And I have like another way huge pedal that is no longer living on my board. But yeah, I mean, it just sort of goes down this way, comes around, come out the blue sky. And this is on usually most of the time. It's got just a pretty good reverb sound. All right, so this is like, I feel like the best part of my whole setup. And this is like a Vox AC30. I've been playing AC30 for as long as I can remember. It's like, I had a Fender like Hot Rod that I was like playing, or the first amp I ever had was like this like Black Star. That's actually not true. The first amp I ever had was like a PV little digital amp, practice amp. And I sold that, got like the Black Star amp. And then I had that and I was like, I didn't really love it. And then at that point I was playing like a Strat through a Fender, and I was like, it's just such a different thing. And then I was over in England, and so many of my favorite bands were playing Voxes, and so I was like, all right, I'll try the Vox, and I was playing a Vox over there. And I really liked the sound, and so we came back to the US and I was like playing a Vox. And then we were playing some headline shows over on the West Coast, like just over like a year or two ago, and we had to rent some amps, and I asked for an AC30, and like SIR gave me an AC30 that sounded the most unbelievable AC30 I've ever played in my life. And I guess it was like one of the last of like the British made ones between '94 and 2004. It's got like the blue Celestion speakers, and it's basically modeled after the models from the 60s, and it just sounds incredible. It just sounds so good. It's just like this like amazing top end clarity that like, it just sounds better than any amp I've ever played. And so, but yeah, I have it pretty straightforward. I've got it right now on the low channel of the Brilliant. And then I kind of I like to have a bit more treble in there. I just think it sort of cuts through a bit better. A bit of bass, and then I've got some sort of tone cut. Don't really know what that is. I do sometimes will use some of the Vibe Trem with the Brilliant, and this is such a beautiful channel. But then you're sort of running out the top of the Brilliant channel, and it just gets a little too hot for some of the rooms we're playing right now. And so hopefully I'm going to be using that a little bit more in the future. So yeah, picks pretty straightforward. I mean, I just play yellow, Dunlop Tortex. I feel like I had like started like on blues and greens years ago, and then I just kept getting thinner and thinner. I just wanted sort of more straightforward stuff. This is like a Sennheiser E935. I was singing through a 58 for so long, and I just felt like I had no headroom. And this just like, I feel like you just cut through. You just fucking sit right on top of everything. It sounds great. So yeah, been Alex with the Backfires. Brand new album. This is not an exit. Just came out January 24th, 2025. You can learn more about us at backfires.com, at the Backfires on socials, at the Backfires official on TikTok. And yeah, on tour right now. Come check out our show.